for the Alameda County Contractors Technical Assistance Program Business Recovery Workshop. In response to COVID-19 pandemic, we have seen has led to an economic downturn and impacted many businesses. So it's important to aid our small contracting community and help them prepare for future unplanned events that can negatively affect their business on all spectrums. This workshop is focused on how construction contractors can survive and bounce back from a pandemic. My name is Judy Singharath, Marketing Manager of the CTAP program. That's the Contractor Technical Assistance Program. I'm also joined by my rockstar team, Bernida Reagan, Director of Community and Client Relations at Merriwether and Williams, Carol Henry, who's our Program Manager, Lila Samrung, and Jordan Long. So the CTAP program is administered by Merriwether and Williams Insurance Services and sponsored by the county's General Services Agency. Now, before we begin, I would like to go over a few housekeeping items. If you are experiencing any technical or audio issues, please reach out to me via chat box, which is located at the bottom of your screen. If you have any questions anytime throughout the presentation, please type your question in the Q&A feature, which is also located at the bottom of the screen. So we welcome all questions. Also, a brief survey will be sent out shortly after the webinar concludes to gain your input and feedback. So be on the lookout for that, and we really appreciate you completing the survey. Now, I would also like to mention that a copy of the PowerPoint presentation and recording will be provided shortly after the workshop. We have our special guest here today. We're really excited and honored to have Alameda County Board of Supervisor Keith Carson join us. Supervisor Carson is a longtime supporter of small and minority businesses. So big thanks to you and the entire board for giving us the opportunity to provide much needed resources for small, local, and minority contractors in Alameda County. Welcome.
Well, thank you very much. Good morning to everyone. And
good morning.
An opportunity to say a few words on behalf of Alameda County. I want to say I'm really happy to once again have a chance to talk to your audience. It's been a little while since I've had a chance to participate in your ongoing Alameda County Contractor Technical Assistant Program that you've had for many, many years. And I do want to say a special thanks to Ingrid, Merriwether, and the Williams Group, Bernida, and all of the family of Merriweathers and Williams for constantly supporting our county and our contractors as they get more acclimated with the county system and opportunities to do business within the county system and approach the challenges that our small and emerging contractors and business people have in accessing opportunities, not only with our county, but with levels of government, because sometimes it is a little difficult, it is a maze, and it's challenging to do it. Sometimes it's daunting and a little, you might be fearful as a business person approaching government, but there's so much opportunity within county government to participate for our small emerging businesses. And especially with the assistance that we've been getting from Merriweather and Williams over the years, that's been helping to bridge those gaps that have existed. And so I want to start off by saying a big thank you for that. You know, Alameda County, actually our charge and our responsibility is to oversee the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens and the residents of our county, which is about 1,600,000 people, 800 and something square miles, 14 cities, unincorporated area, a large landmass that we have, the 5 of us on the Board of Supervisors have responsibility for. But in addition to that, our contracting community is an extension of the family of the county because of the fact that the county, even with our 9,000 plus employees, can't do all the work that's needed alone. And especially with respect to construction or going in and rehabbing facilities, selling product to the county that we need, because we spend over $400 million a year on purchasing products and purchasing services. The opportunities are there. It's been, you as the contracting community is the extension of the work that is being done in Alameda County. I know that this has been a very unusual time for everybody because of COVID-19. We got caught, all of us, worldwide, nationally, statewide, locally, off guard in terms of this pandemic that we're still fighting and looking for a cure for. And that's had an impact to people's individual lives, their family lives, their work relationships, their educational impacts that we've had throughout the entire system of life. We've been impacted by COVID-19 and this pandemic that we are in, and it's not over yet. And we're not sure when we will get back to some sense of normalcy. It might not be until next year. But the county has been rallying around, meeting almost daily, 7 days a week, to try to figure out how to meet this pandemic. And let me say that my staff here in the office have been working 7 days a week, and almost all of us who are county employees have been working some way 7 days a week to try to meet the needs, the varied needs of people. One of those needs is in the area of business. And since we do have the healthcare director who is over this pandemic in our county, the healthcare director is over the pandemic everywhere throughout the United States in their respective areas. It is there that they try to find this balance of making sure that we protect people and people protect themselves from this pandemic, that we have a medical system in place to address their medical needs if they so need it, but also to make sure that with respect to the services that people receive throughout the county, either in our restaurants or in our government buildings or in our private buildings or in our educational buildings, that we set up a system to protect people who go there and provide those services. It also includes the people who provide the services that are needed to maintain the operations. Those of you who are contractors, those of you who are not just building new facilities, but also giving us the maintenance for those facilities and selling us product for those facilities. The county has tried to come together. We did a survey out of our office a while back to the contractor community to kind of get a sense of what was needed at that time. The county has expanded on that through our departments to constantly survey and say, what are you needing and how do we service you, and how help us to think through how we navigate through this pandemic that we're experiencing. And so with that survey, we've incorporated the findings of that survey. We also know that obviously cash and money is needed in order to do that. Just yesterday, the Board of Supervisors met starting at 9:30 to almost 7 last evening, looking at various ways in which we can tap into county resources to assist small businesses in a grant or a loan program. Looking at ways in which we can make sure that if people still need public protective equipment, that we are providing that, because you do need that. That costs people. And for small businesses, that's a challenge sometimes to meet the requirements of the public health department and the public health officer in order to go about doing your job, either in people's homes or in their businesses or wherever they may be. And so we're constantly getting feedback from you who are being impacted by this pandemic and are continuously in your respective areas attempting to provide services to your clients, to those of you who you serve. And we're trying to leverage not only county resources, but we also are at the state acting, making sure that they pass state monies back to local government, cities and counties, and our educational facilities to assist. And we're in Washington, D.C. Just on Monday, we had our lobbyists in Washington, D.C., as we do every single Monday with our lobbyists in Washington, D.C., connecting us not only with Congress, but with the various departments that are there to talk about HUD money for housing, which goes into the construction, but it also goes into the maintenance of people who are homeless and need shelter, or other individuals who need to access housing. I wanted to give you a broad overview to just give you just a taste of all the things that we're attempting to do through county government. But also we have to do it in partnership with you. We have to hear from you who are experiencing these challenges. We have to work with our consultants like Merriwether and Williams and those to help us to connect the dots and to make sure that the resources get to you in a meaningful way. Also, let me just end on this. While I've been mentioning government throughout this discussion, I have the privilege of chairing one of the largest business associations in both Contra Costa and Alameda County. And that's all of our businesses, our large businesses, our medium-sized businesses, our unions, all of them are active within this organization. So as we're trying to meet your requirements and your demands within county government, we're also having the same discussion within the business community so that the opportunities for you to choose from our business, our government, are all of the opportunities and all of the assistance that you can get in order to continue to feed your family, continue to grow and keep your business sustained, and to help us provide the best that we can for the community. I hope that you will continue to participate in today's programs, because I, in the past, have had an opportunity to sit throughout much of it. There's a lot of valuable information that you're going to get from the panelists and the discussion that take place. And while everything may not happen immediately, building your business has been something that takes place on a daily basis. The information that you get, you incorporate, helps you to get there faster. And so take advantage of that. And feel free to also reach out to the websites that are going to be referenced as a follow-up guide with individuals and people to make you the best you can be in your business. And with that, I want to say thank you again for giving me an opportunity to say a few words of welcome. And I wish that you have a successful day, be safe, and we can win and beat this pandemic together. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Carson.
Thank you so much. Before we begin our presentation, we want to get to know a little bit about our audience and who's here with us today. We have a poll question that we came up with, and we wanted to find out from you what type of services you provide. Okay, so it looks like we got some construction firms as well as professional service providers. Thank you for responding. So without further delay, I am pleased to welcome our first presenter. Not only is she our fearless leader of the CTAP team, she's also president and CEO of Merriwether and Williams Insurance Services. I want to welcome Ingrid Merriwether.
Thank you, Judy. Good morning. Supervisor's probably already left the call with so much on his plate, but I do want to acknowledge his participation, his ongoing support for small and emerging businesses in Alameda County. As he said, we've been around working with the county for some time now, and Supervisor Carson has always been a stalwart supporter, which is so critical when we're trying to make sure there continue to be opportunities for small and emerging contractors within Alameda County. So thank you for joining us today. We are looking forward to sharing some information with you, but also to hear back from you. We're an intimate group here, so I think that's going to give us some opportunity to, hear from you and respond directly to your individual questions or maybe areas that you would like us to expound on. So please don't be shy. Use the Q&A feature to ask any questions or make comments that maybe we can share or might prompt some discussion. So just by way of background, so those of you who aren't intimately familiar with our organization, we are an insurance brokerage and risk management consulting firm by license, but that's not what we're mostly known for. We're mostly known for the programs that we design, implement, and administer with public agencies like Alameda County, who are very sincere about trying to create access to opportunities, emphasis on public construction opportunities for small, local, emerging, minority, women-owned, veteran businesses, basically the diverse contracting community. And those agencies who invest where they proclaim to want to achieve those objectives of inclusion, like Alameda County, recognize that you have to invest in removing the barriers that have historically prohibited those targeted firms from being able to participate in a robust way. And the county recognized some time ago that barriers were impacting the ability for small contractors to participate at a level appropriate for their representation in the community on Alameda County contracts. So our firm really has been providing kind of these unique risk management solutions. We call it aligned risk management to public agencies for over 2 decades now, 23 years since the firm has been in business and in operation. And it's from our perspective, we understood that things like insurance requirements and bonding requirements and other technical areas were challenging for small contractors. And coming from the perspective of knowing how to mitigate risks, but also do it in a way that enables opportunity and inclusion, put us in a position that we could develop innovative programs with public agencies to create more access to opportunities for contractors in particular. So we do a lot around policy consulting and advocacy around inclusion, equity, and that all ties to economic development. Because the one thing that we know is that the more public agency business is spent in the local community, the more those dollars recycle within that community in terms of job opportunities and just general economic activity. So essentially, the county understands that it serves as an economic engine, and when it can target as much opportunity and contracting within the local community, that serves the county's larger goals in terms of that multiplicative economic impact. So since 1997, we are very fortunate because of sponsors like Alameda County that allow us to put these programs in place, that we've been able to obtain bonds. That's one measure of our program activity and results, but we've been able to obtain bonds for small and emerging contractors, close to $1 billion for public works projects. So we're pretty proud of that number. I think we're going to have to plan some major event when we hit the billion. But what we're more proud of than anything else is the amazingly low default rate of our programs. And that's essentially speaks to, how many contractors successfully completed their contracts. And in 23 years, we've only had 2, that's a single digit 2, contractors fail to complete their construction projects. So that's what we're most proud of, because we believe that tells the true story, that small and minority and emerging contractors have the capacity, have the background, have the knowledge, have the expertise to successfully engage and complete public works construction projects. We've known that all along, and we've been given an opportunity to put a program in place to illustrate that. That default rate is many times better than the overall industry default rate. So we've been able to kind of change the narrative that small and minority contractors are somehow lacking in capacity or less qualified. We're in a position to say that's absolutely not true. That in fact, when given the opportunity, when given support, they can be more successful than their larger peers. Next slide, Judy, please. So as Supervisor Carson alluded to, we also, when COVID was clear was going to impact us for some time to come, we wanted to reach out to the small contractor community in Alameda County to really start a needs assessment. to understand what were going to be the challenges that they were going to face and how can we adapt CTAP to provide assistance, resources, information, and facilitate access to what's most needed during these times right now. And these were the three areas that contractors identified. First and foremost was securing loans. Obviously businesses needed to have some certainty of access to capital, to have some resources available to sustain and maintain them. So one of the things that we did, and you're going to actually hear from one of our partners who assisted us in this area, is we helped a number of small contractors successfully secure the PPP loans. Matter of fact, we as our own business pursued successfully a PPP loan, and any of you that did, I'm sure you too felt a sense of relief of having that additional cushion in your business, at least for the time that it lasted. And for us, it made a difference as well. So that's one of the things that we were able to do. The other thing that folks were very concerned about was layoffs. And it's understandable that in times like these, that as your work or your pipeline of opportunity is unpredictable, there were circumstances where some projects that were slated to begin were put on hold. And ultimately that led to some businesses having to lay off some of their staff, kind of an inevitable but very unfortunate circumstance. And then, as I referenced before, another concern was project suspension. So one of the things that we did in that area is to use our relationship with the county to try to get information, to try to get a sense of which projects were continuing and which projects were going to be put on hold, so that there be some certainty for the contractor community as to where the opportunities were, and what potential opportunities they were maybe looking at that were going to be deferred for some time. Next slide, please. So as I said, we really focused on access to capital in addition to the PPP loans, and you will find later in the presentation, we're going to share more resources with you where we developed a list of community development organizations or economic development programs, grant programs that we were able to share with the contractor community, some of them offering maybe very small grants or forgivable loans at the level of $10,000, maybe up to $50,000. The other thing that we heard a lot is folks were looking for assistance with their back office, assistance in accounting and bookkeeping, compliance, reporting. So that was another area that we have been offering education and training, and again, facilitating access to other resources, as well as strengthening back office operations, which I'm going to talk more about in general as to our suggestions on the best use of time right now. One thing that I think all of you have probably realized, that despite how catastrophic COVID has been in terms of affecting our lives, affecting our families, affecting our businesses, that there is also opportunity. And the thing that we feel strongly about, and we've had the opportunity to witness with some of our contractors, is optimizing this time now. You're not maybe in the same mode of constant pursuit of business development, or you're not in the mode of having to juggle the management of multiple projects. So take this time as an opportunity to really invest in the infrastructure of your business, that it's a time to get the business in as much fiscal health as you possibly can, because that's going to be very critical as we start coming out of COVID, that your financial information and your understanding of things like your cost to operate, this is the opportunity to take advantage of to get your house in order, so to speak, because those of you who do have a much greater chance of surviving through the pandemic and taking advantage of the opportunities that will be on the other side. Next slide, please, Judy. So I had some statistics here that I thought I would share with you just to give you kind of a sense of the construction industry. So obviously the onset of COVID has radically affected the construction industry outlook. In stable times, 10% of construction firms, both startups as well as seasoned and established firms, fail each year. That's during stable times. And 80% of those failures are due to budgetary issues and volatility in the industry. So you can just imagine, you have to kind of take that to the second and third power in COVID times in terms of the impact on the industry and the impact on the financial infrastructure of the industry. Another statistic I found kind of startling was 30% of construction only, I should say, emphasize, only 30% of construction projects end up within 10% of their original budget. So, and I can assure you that it's 10% over budget. It's not within 10% under budget. So that means 70% of all construction projects exceed their original budgets by more than 10%. And if, that's not just an esoteric thing, because that additional cost is borne, some by the project owner who has to come up with additional funds, but oftentimes it's borne by the contractors because of unforeseen circumstances or poor estimating or other issues that arise on the project that the contractor has to address and sometimes absorb. So things like understanding your cost of operation, your cost to do business is so critical because that burden of these projects going over budget so significantly largely falls on the contractor community, which means it disproportionately falls on the small contractor community. So you're going to hear more shortly from our partner, Ed Gines, about the importance of timely and accurate financial reporting and forecasting. It's really a key element of the challenges you're going to face during fluctuating times. But as I said, this is the time and opportunity to kind of get your financial house in order, to really understand what your financial position is, regardless of what it is, and understand how your cost of operations affects your financials, what your profit margins really need to be for you to be a sustainable business. It's really a good time to do that. So as we come up out of this situation, you'll be in better shape than we were going in. So one of the things you're going to hear shortly from Ed is the importance of maintaining your balance sheet, your profit and loss, credit information. I can tell you that in within the surety marketplace, so that's really a telling indication of what's happening in construction, is when bonding companies are reporting on what's occurring in terms of claims. And it's getting very active right now, where quite a few contractors are struggling and the consequences are being felt by the surety industry. And that means going forward that underwriting for bonding is going to be a bit more challenging, that there's going to be another level of scrutiny that's going to be coming from bonding companies, going to be coming from banks. My husband's in real estate, and he shared with me today that Wells Fargo announced that for those looking at purchasing or refinancing rental property or income property, they're not even factoring in the rental income to determine whether or not you can get approved for financing because of the concern about what's going to occur in the rental marketplace. So we've got some big challenges still ahead of us. And unfortunately, it's always the smaller businesses that take a disproportionate brunt of that. But again, this is not to be doom and gloom. This is to encourage you to take advantage of the opportunity now. I'd also encourage you to spend some time as you get your financial information together. You're in a better position to discern what is the actual impact of COVID on your business. Because as we come out of it and you're starting to look at maybe securing loans or securing bonding, being able to clearly demonstrate, here is how my business was doing before COVID. Here is what the financial impact of COVID had on my business. Because lenders and bonding companies, they're obviously well aware that this is having a detrimental impact on the contractor community. So they're going to recognize that. They're going to make accommodations for that. But you need to be able to tell the story accurately. You need to be able to demonstrate where you were, what should have occurred had COVID not happened, and what the impact of COVID was. And then your ability to forecast during recovery that you'll be soon in a position back where you were before the pandemic. So that's an important place to spend time right now. Identifying financial support resources. This is the time to do that. It may not solve your problem immediately, but identifying grant programs, loan programs, forgivable loan programs, this is the time to do that research. We're going to share some of that information with you so that you can look for that support to help shore up your financial position and help you sustain. It's also the time to identify new contracting opportunities. Despite what's happening with COVID and the economy, as you look around, you see construction is still happening all around you. And so in many respects, you're actually fortunate to be in an industry. I mean, if I had to choose between being a contractor and being a restaurant owner, I think I'd choose being a contractor because construction is continuing and it will continue, maybe not at the same scale. So you're fortunate to be still within an industry that is still alive and active and will be going into the future. So this is a time to look for new contracting opportunities. That's another resource that we provide you, is to help share with you where there are opportunities, particularly those suitable for smaller contractors. One of those areas, even the supervisor mentioned, is housing. Housing development is still going on. There's funds that were already committed to affordable housing. It's still taking place. And we have relationships with a lot of the affordable housing developers who come to us looking for referrals of small contractors. The other thing you obviously want to do right now is to scale your business appropriately for sustainability. Obviously, this isn't necessarily the time for major expansion for your business or bringing on new expenses. So scale the business for these times to sustain you. If that means, modifying or adapting the business to fit what revenue stream you have coming in right now, to stabilize you and put you in a good position for the future. So again, optimize this time to organize. This is a whole nother point actually that I want to put some emphasis on, because I'm a big advocate for advocacy. This is a great time to spend in terms of working with your peers, with organizations, small contractor organizations, for example, to advocate for conducive policies, practices, and programs that will create a more conducive environment for you to participate in public agency opportunity. You heard from Supervisor Carson how they're listening to the small business community or the contractor community. And we've witnessed in 23 years how impactful when small contractors come together with a very clear articulation of what policies would be more conducive, what procurement practices would be more conducive, and what type of resources or supportive programs would enable you to be more successful. They're listening. They're willing to make adjustments in the way they do business if it will yield more opportunity and inclusion. They understand that small businesses are really the lifeblood of a community. So this is an ideal time to work with your peers to organize. It doesn't have to be 200 of you. It can be 10 of you who get together and discuss, wow, if they had this policy or these practices, there would be more opportunities for firms like ours. So I encourage you to use this time, and we're happy to help give you some ideas and suggestions around best practices that we see in place with other public agencies that create more access. So that leads me to how CTAP can help you. Another resource for you to take advantage of now that, number one, is at no cost to you. And as I was putting such emphasis on the importance of getting your financial house in order, that's one of the ways that we can assist you. We can start with an assessment to discern what is your current business capacity. Things like your credit worthiness. Bondability is a key indicator of how a third party who has familiarity with construction and contractors assesses the current status of your business. You know, it's like anything else. You can't work on something until you know what the problem is. So it's like getting a diagnosis to know where you have vulnerabilities, where are there opportunities of improvement, and this is an ideal time to make those investments in your business and your business development. We're going to help you on a one-on-one basis. This isn't just kind of a group resource. This is individuals like Carol, who's in our panel today, who work with you directly, individually, go through an assessment process, create a work plan to take advantage of opportunities for improvement, and then we bring the resources to bear to help you address those specific areas. Some of the areas that we cover with you can be safety. We have a construction safety professionals on staff with the organization that can keep you current in terms of what all of the COVID safety requirements are on construction projects. We can help you with insurance. We can help you with bonding. We can help you understand things like project labor agreements. And then just, again, making sure that you're connected where there are potential opportunities. So we have strong industry relationships, and the county also provides collateral support for you. If you are in a position to bid on a county opportunity, whether as a prime or as a subcontractor to a prime on a county opportunity, we have financial capacity we can provide you to assist you to qualify for bonds, enabling you to pursue that work. I think that's my last slide. Is that right? Oh no, well, we got one more, right? So as I'm sharing with you these resources that we're really encouraging you to take advantage of, I just want to go back a little bit to share with you how your peers have benefited from the county's program. So some of the projects that we've assisted contractors include Highland Hospital, the Juvenile Justice Center project, East County Hall of Justice, affordable housing. Again, A1 affordable housing projects are ongoing right now. There's got to be at least 30 or so that are taking place within the county, and opportunities that you're going to hear more about, like JOCS with GSA. So since 2008, we've established bondability for 36 small Alameda County contractors. They were able to secure $175 million in construction opportunities, both with the county itself and within the county. Put on a number of workshops. We'll continue to do that. So it's really a robust program that has what I call disruptive tools, not just giving you training and education, but actually bringing resources to the table that change the paradigm sufficiently for your business to qualify for bonds or access to contract opportunities. So with that, I want to again thank you for your participation today and encourage you to stay tuned. You're going to hear from one of our strategic partners, no pun intended, Ed, but he's going to tell you more about basically your financial strategy during COVID and how best to utilize this time.
Ingrid, thank you so much. There were so many takeaways in your presentation, but one sticks out significantly was back office. Mm-hmm. This is the time. If there is a time to clean up and look at your financial statements, this is it. I hope you use me as a resource because I think we can offer a lot. My team, in 30 seconds or less, domestic side on the left-hand side, we have a team of CPAs over in the Philippines, and we use Zoom communication, and all our clients primarily are on QuickBooks Desktop and online. So we run a 24-hour operation. Let's talk about the 3 subjects that we want to address right now. It's securing a loan, resources available, and results of your choices. And each one of them have a little bit of a subset underneath it, which our colleague afterwards, Steve, will address the lending options. You're gonna say, oh, well, why are those so critical? Because the key financial reports are really the driver of what you do when you are looking for a loan, resources available. Let me expand on that a little bit. Key financial reports, your P&L, your balance sheet, cash flow projector, and your WIP. Fancy words for some, others, they got it in their back pocket. But these are critical from a lender's perspective as, are there any loans out there available? They are going to need these documents if you have been in business. There are different types of lender options. Your sister city across the bay, San Francisco, has a program called CAP. Please reach out to Ingrid or any one of them regarding CAP, but yes, I believe she can expand on that more. Equipment financing, all these different types of lenders are going to require these documents. There's another one down here, all independent by itself, called AR factoring, and Steve knows about these. They have their place, which is appropriate, but please look at your contract because this is expensive. If you're just blindly executing, they won't need these as much, but it's going to cost a lot more money than it would be bank lending. In a nutshell, right? Securing a loan. Again, I'm going to go really fast on this. The key reports, you'll see this in the majority of the slides because I think it's critical. Use your financial statements as a weapon. Some of the ways to generate these reports better than being self-prepared is using your tax preparer or an independent bookkeeper or an organization similar to ours. We are a fractional CFO and accounting firm. But trying to do it yourself, I think, is a hindrance. Yeah, it may save money, but then questions will arise. Does my balance sheet look right? Why does my WIP report look, if you're running multiple projects, and you need to know your cash flow. But if you're doing it self-prepared, you may have some challenges. So I am an advocate of not emphasizing self-prepared. Build into your infrastructure a cost, general administrative, to help you get through these tougher times. It'll be hard, but it is possible. And I'd like to put a little bit of humor in mind, because if you self-prepare, you may not get reports. I've seen this too many times. I see it neglected and last minute. We all have to put in our hours towards the business. Play offense, not defense, and that implies getting good quality reports. Allocate your time and resources to either operations, sales, and marketing, and know what's your percentage of G&A cost. Know the cost of a bookkeeper, and it should be easily visible in your financial statements. Eventual exposure. There's hidden risk on doing it self-prepared, so I really am purposely putting in red, because the last thing anyone wants is this. If you self-prepare, compliance may come back and haunt you. If you self-prepare, you may not know your financials well enough. And no one wants to be on the wrong side of the equation when default happens, etc. So my suggestion to you is please don't self-prepare. Please don't do that. If you can't afford it, find a way. Find a way, because it is very difficult to get those quality reports. You don't want to be here, maybe at the county level, the state level, the federal, or your prime contractor, because then the challenges will start happening. Again, I have such an emphasis on the key financial reports, and I really want to keep it short. These reports are critical. If you're generating them and generating them right, congratulations to you, the contractor. If you need help, these are the types of resources available to you, along with Steve Roth, who's our next speaker. Let me continue a little bit, but again, self-prepared. Let's emphasize who we think might be able to get you through this pandemic. Because of key financial reports just give you a lot of business intelligence. You're able to make decisions better. And during the contract or during the project, you might have to do some mid-course adjustments, referring to change orders. And those have to be recorded properly too. I wish we had time for questions. I will be available afterwards, but I really want to offer as much time to Steve as possible. I'm Ed Gines. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ed. So we want to welcome our next speaker, Steve Roth of Northern California Small Business Development Center and our small business expert. So welcome, Steve.
Oh, great to be here. You're going to do my advancing, so yes. Everyone can see my email address is there. So okay. If you need to email me, please feel free to shoot me a note after the session is over. Okay. And so I'm with the NorCal, Northern California Small Business Development Network. It's supported by the U.S. Small Business Administration and the state of California. We provide no-fee advising for small businesses and entrepreneurs from all over Northern California and in actuality, Southern California and out of the state as well. We cover all 36 counties, basically from Santa Cruz to Nevada, north to Oregon. And that includes about 32 local SBDCs. So I'm with the Finance Center. Scott is our director, Sunita is the associate director, and I'm one of a small team of lending specialists. And we focus mostly on raising money for people. We've done the PPP program in EIDL, PPP Forgiveness. There's a fire EIDL program, a state micro lending program, all of which are there and all of which are free. So the PPP program started in April and ended in August. There's a rumor it might come back. Overall, we did about $530 billion nationally in PPP loans to small businesses of all kinds, sole proprietors, independent contractors. Program, in my personal opinion, was hugely successful. After June 5th, the program had its use of funds period extended. The forgiveness period is extended. There's a new simplified forgiveness process now. For anyone who got less than $50,000, they do a simple affidavit. Program ended, unfortunately, with $120 billion left unspent. But if we do get a new stimulus bill sometime in my life, it may be that the money will be put out again. Next one. The EIDL program has loaned over $500 billion to small businesses of all kinds. It's still underway. So if you know anyone who has not applied for an EIDL loan, they should contact me and we'll help them get set up. It's a 3.75% fixed rate loan for 30 years. You don't pay anything until 11 months after the loan is actually made. Generally, the loans don't have collateral or personal guarantees. They are not forgivable. The SBA started a new program called EIDL Fire. So if anyone you know was damaged, had property damage during the recent fires, smoke damage, fire damage, they can also apply for loans. The interesting thing about the PPP and EIDL is that they're available to for-profits and not-for-profits. In general, SBA lending is only available to for-profit companies. But both of these programs were open to nonprofits as well. And nonprofits, as you can see, actually pay a lower interest rate, 2.75% versus 3.75. So the EIDL program will continue to run until the end of the calendar year or until it runs out of cash, but I think it'll be the end of the calendar year. And I probably generated 200 EIDL loans for people during the bulk of the pandemic. Next one. Right. So for PPP forgiveness, I'm sure a lot of your firms who were contractors, I probably dealt with 24 or more contractors of all kinds during the March to August period. But the process is just beginning. Everyone has 10 months from the end of the use of funds period to file for forgiveness. So for most firms, that's not until May of 2021. So there's no rush to do it. Your lender will contact you when it's time to file. Everyone's waiting to see what changes occur in the program. But if you borrowed less than $50,000, it's virtually guaranteed you'll be forgiven for the entire amount. You just have to fill out a one-page form that says you did according to plan. No one will ever look. And so altogether, I generated about 200 PPP loans for firms of all kinds over the last 8 months. And it was a big win for all of them. The ones that were most difficult were clearly people who were shut down. So restaurants, bars, estheticians, massage therapy folks who couldn't really see people. It was very difficult. The SBA Lending, we help companies with SBA 7A and 504. 504 lending is real estate lending. So if you have a contractor who wants to buy their own space, own a warehouse, the 504 program is designed to help owner-operators own the space they're in. And it's a fantastic program. Remember that the SBA is not a direct lender. The SBA process begins with a bank or a credit union or a specialty lender like the Opportunity Fund. But it begins with a lender, and the lending process at that bank or financial institution. The SBA provides an 85% loan guarantee to the bank. The SBA process is very flexible around women-owned businesses, minority-owned businesses, veteran-owned businesses, disabled veteran-owned businesses. So it's a great program to begin with. About 5,500 lenders across the country are part of the SBA's network. Rates today are as low as 4% for the real estate money and probably 5.5% for regular loans. So historically very low, and they're still making them. I'm working on a dozen loan projects now with clients of all kinds, and they're going forward. Typically, these require 10 to 20% equity. So if you wanted to buy a business or buy a building for $1 million, you need $100,000 of equity to make the deal work, but much lower than unassisted bank loans. So the other program, microlending, part of the CARES Act was that some of the CARES Act money went directly to the states. And the states have put the money out in California. They've created a state guaranteed loan program. So that has, I think, $25 billion in it. And these are loans, but the loans can go up to $150,000. The equity can be less than 10%. They can be used for startups and small businesses of all kinds. The interest rates are comparable to SBA-backed loans, but there's no 6-month forgiveness period. Each is individually underwritten, and to Jean's prior comment, Ed's prior comments, you need a business plan and you need a pro forma, but it's not terribly complicated. And we've helped literally dozens of companies of all kinds into the microloan program, and the money's there, and it's really quite an excellent program for firms who need $150,000 or less in order to jumpstart the business, get going, upgrade for a new contract, whatever it might be. Next one. There we go. And so for the NorCal network, all 36 counties and all the people, we had a record year. We're on a federal fiscal year, so it ended in September 30th of 20. But we generated $400 million of economic impact, basically lending, but some equity as well. A lot of it was driven by PPP and EIDL, but we did a significant number of bank loans, SBA-backed loans, real estate 504 loans. And for this year, with the help of the SBA and the federal government, new resources have been put in place to really help small businesses and entrepreneurs. We've expanded what we're doing because we realize it's going to be a difficult year. COVID isn't going away, but there is money out there. People just need help getting it. I personally did $30 million of client stuff last year. And so it was a busy year, but it was a very rewarding year as well. Next one. Here we go. So summary, PPP is over, but I believe it's going to come back one way or the other. There will be another round of PPP funding. And it was a huge success. Forgiveness is about to get going, but there's no need to worry about it. People are very concerned, but I think it won't really get started until the first quarter of next year. EIDL was also a huge success, been fantastically valuable to companies, and it is still open. It is open, it's taking applications, and they're being funded quickly. EIDL Fire is also open, and SBA lending, whether it's micro lending, SBA Express lending, or larger loans are all active. And right now I've got one company that's looking to buy its building. Someone who's worked for the business for years is buying the business from the owner who's retiring. Someone else is buying equipment. So all sorts of stuff. We're here to help, and it's amazingly free. So happy to answer any questions. You have my email. Please feel free to email me. But anyone all small businesses, and small in SBA standards is less than 500 employees. And it could actually be more than 500 employees if you're in a business segment like automotive, where it can go up to $100 million. So we have a great deal of flexibility in working with companies across our region, and it is free to you.
Thank you so much, Steve.
Welcome. With that, I'll let you go.
Okay,
but if anyone does have any questions, feel free to email me. I'll respond almost instantaneously. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, take care, everybody.
Bye. So we have, and I know that we're a little bit over our time, but if you have about 2-3 minutes to spare, we will get to our final presenter. I just want to introduce you to Joan Quillio. She has some announcements about some upcoming construction opportunities for you all. Welcome, Joan.
Thanks, Judy. Good morning, everybody, and thanks for hanging in with us, even though we're a little bit over. Wanted to also acknowledge and thank the other presenters. Great information for our business community and our vendor community. So very much appreciate the expertise and generosity of our presenters. I am Joan Quillio. I work for the General Services Agency and actually manage the fantastic team at Merriwether and Williams for our Contractor Technical Assistance Program. I also oversee our countywide project labor agreement, which is our project stabilization and community benefits agreement that applies to our larger construction projects. Can I have the next slide, please, Judy? Wanted to touch on a few things. We've got right now out to bid job order contracts. Job order contracting is a project delivery method that is used for regular recurring maintenance. We've got 5 job order contractors in place right now. We are also we are out to bid currently for 5 new $1 million each JOC contracts. This is where contractors bid against a construction task catalog and give us a fixed, which has fixed pricing. Contractors bid to a factor so that they can consider all of their costs, overhead, and profit. The reason I bring this forward is really because the majority of the task orders or jobs that are completed under our job order contracting are completed by subcontractors. So our prime contractors that are awarded these job order contracts are also required to comply with our enhanced construction outreach program, and which includes inclusionary goals for local business enterprise, small business enterprise, and then specifically subcontracting requirements for minority-owned businesses and women-owned businesses. The majority of the work is in the trades that are listed. Each task order is advertised on the county website, which I'll go into a little bit later. Next slide, please, Judy. This is great visuals. Thank you, Judy.
You said jazz it up. So.
This is jazzy. Thank you. A couple of the projects that we have coming up. The two on the top are design, bid, build. So they'll be pretty straightforward. The solar demolition, thermal demolition project is taking place on the Santa Rita Jail campus. That is the removal and demolition of an outdated solar thermal unit that is on the roof, one of the roofs up there. So that's a smaller project. Similarly, the environmental health window repair, that's at our facility in Alameda. So that's glazing, carpentry, basically those are the trades. The ones on the bottom are both design build. The Dublin Transit Center parking garage is the construction of a new parking facility in Dublin. This has funding from the state, the California Transportation Commission, the Alameda County Transportation Commission, also LABTA, the Livermore-Amador Valley Transportation Agency. So multiple funding sources on this. It's a large design build project. It's looking to go out the first quarter of 2021. So this is in development right now. The Alameda County Fire Department this is a new training facility. Also $30 million is the estimate. As was mentioned earlier, funding for some of these larger projects some is in place, some we are looking for. A lot of our projects have been put on hold for budgetary concerns. There's quite a bit of work around COVID relief. And so a lot of those jobs go through our job order contracts. Can I have the next slide, please? Because we want you to be able to get notified of opportunities, we have an eGov delivery service that you can tailor to your services offered. If you go to our website here and then just sign up for the eGov deliveries, anytime a project goes out is advertised and out to bid, we post it on our website, and that includes individual task orders that are issued under those job order contracts. So this is really key in order to stay current with the opportunities in Alameda County. I am available to answer questions at any time. I'm happy to be a resource for anyone that would, if you have questions about upcoming opportunities or something posts on the website and you're not sure about it, or if you need any assistance with the Enhanced Construction Outreach Program, anything to do with our project labor agreements or the Project Stabilization Community Benefits Agreement, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, Joan, and the rest of our presenters. This is our final slide. Thank you for hanging in there. We just want to leave you with some resources of community development programs and different organizations in the county that you can reach out to. And we really want to thank everyone for their time. And I hope that you guys got a wealth of resources and knowledge. And thank you so much.